Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life.
Hello everybody, it's Paul Nison with the Raw Life Health Show. It's Monday morning and it's a really exciting week. We have some great shows lined up, but today I want to talk about such a controversial subject. One of the subjects that I've gotten the most responses to on my videos, and I've made many videos about it over the internet, and that is cacao, also known as raw chocolate. Now don't be deceived by the title that Paul Nison now says cacao is okay or approves cacao, because that's true to a degree, but not 100% true, and that's what I want to talk about today. You see, I've been making featured videos every week on my new membership site, the Raw Life Health Show, and to do that I need to really dig deep into a subject and really get down to the facts. And this week's topic was raw cacao, and I made a whole video, an hour and a half on that. And within that video I had to interview a lot of people and read a lot of the comments from the past and really pray about it and think about it. And one of the guests I had on the show was Daniel Vitalis, and we'll show you some of his interview later this week. But he had some really good information to share on cacao, as of other guests that I had as well, and people that have had experiences with cacao. Now, first let me say that because I don't believe it's a superfood. So if somebody calls it a superfood, no, I do not agree with it. I do not. You know, it also depends what we consider a superfood. See, I consider a superfood, you see, when I first got into the raw food diet, a superfood was considered a fruit or a vegetable, and that was it, the bottom line. Raw, ripe, fresh, and organic, of course. But today you can get these things in wrappers and bottles and cans and candies and all these other raw food treats, and people sometimes refer to them as a superfood. Let's use an example, a raw food candy bar. If you want to take a raw food candy bar, and I don't care what is in it, green powder, even if it's my favorite green powders, or anything from carob to chocolate, or any fruit or vegetable, a dried fruit or nut or seed, whatever's in it, it's still a candy bar. It comes in a wrapper, it's dried, and it's sitting on a shelf. Now, I do agree that there are some very powerful powders on the market that are very helpful, that may be super powders, but they're still not super foods. Even if they're a powder that's a food, powdered down, you know, as a whole food supplement in a powder form, it's still not a food. It's a supplement, or even if it's called a whole food supplement, it's still a powder. Well, if you dry it down even more, now you have a candy or a candy bar or something else. It's not a food. It's certainly not a superfood. You know, so if somebody wants to use it as a snack, a dessert, or something like this, and as you know from the daylight diet, I don't recommend eating many times throughout the day, and there's no little man in the stomach that says, here comes a snack or here comes a meal. So anytime you put something in the body has to work to digest it. So even if you call it a snack, the body looks at it as a meal. So that's considered one of your 2 or 3 meals I recommend you eat no more than of. But if you want to have cacao or raw chocolate or any of these other raw snacks, let's be honest, folks, call it a snack. So I will go back on my statement that nobody should ever ingest raw cacao and say, well, you know, if somebody wants chocolate, and I don't even think it needs to be raw, even cooked chocolate, and you have it on an occasion, maybe once a month as a snack, well, then it wouldn't be as bad for the body or as toxic for the body, whereas if you had it every single day as a superfood. You know, here's the real problem, everyone. Cacao, you know, because some people would say, you know, since I teach from a biblical perspective, you know, it says in Genesis 1:29 that our Creator gave us the fruits and the vegetables and the seeds as our food, you know, and it even says in the scriptures that everything He created was good. But you know what? Everything He created wasn't good as food for us. And, you know, maybe a better understanding would be like tobacco or coffee. These are very potent drugs. And today they're looked at as food because the FDA hasn't classified them as a drug. But they are a drug. Some people will say, well, you know, coffee beans have caffeine in them and caffeine is a drug. No, coffee beans are the drug. There's several other issues with coffee as well. However, any drug that you use in a medicinal standpoint, in a medicinal way, can do the body good. So even coffee and tobacco in a medicinal way might be able to do the body good. But when you look at other things that have been classified as drugs, even over-the-counter medicine, if you take aspirin as an everyday food, as either a snack or a superfood, you're going to have some serious problems. And I know there's the news, and some people say, well, aspirin's good every day, 1 aspirin a day. First of all, I'm not talking about 1 aspirin a day. I'm talking about if you take 5 or 6 a day just because you like the way it makes you feel. That's not good for your health. But even 1 a day is not good. I wouldn't listen to what they say in the news. But let's look at some more serious drugs. Let's take, for example, cocaine or opium. Do you know in the early 1900s, these were considered over-the-counter medications that people used to help them? They even gave cocaine tablets to little children for toothaches. And opium was an everyday remedy for an upset stomach. And today it's classified as a drug, and it comes with a strict warning, so much so it's even illegal. You know, we could look at marijuana, which was once considered illegal and eventually will be considered legal. And that's nowhere near as bad as cocaine, opium, tobacco, caffeine, or cacao. Yes, cacao is a toxic drug, but it can be used medicinally to benefit some people in certain situations. But if you go to an herbalist, and the herbalist is going to give you some herbs can be used to be very helpful for the body. But again, if you overtake the herb, it can become a problem for the body. Anything that's medicinal, you have to make sure you take in small quantities. For example, you know, I had a mole on my face right here, and I did a previous video about black salve, which I used to get rid of my mole. Now, I was told the instructions for black salve, because it is a very toxic herb in it called bloodroot, I was told to take no more than a pin-sized drop and put it on there, and it'll do its job. But in my excitement, I took a little bit more, maybe 2 pin size, and put it on there. And I believe I put too much, and it still did the job, but it was a little bit more stronger than I needed it to be. Well, there are some stories on the internet of some people rubbing like black salve all over their nose and losing their nose because it actually eats away at the skin like acid. And, you know, so black salve, it was very successful if you use it the way it was designed to be used. But if you use it in a way or abuse it, it can be very harmful and toxic to the body. Well, from my understanding and my experience with cacao, this is what's happening. You know, I believe that our Creator gave us things for a certain reason, and it can be beneficial if you use it the right way. What might be the right way to use cacao? Well, I would say we could look at it like we would look at coffee. People are abusing coffee because they're not getting enough sleep, they're not eating a good diet, they just don't feel good, they feel lousy, they're eating too late, so they need a drug to perk them up and keep them awake. Also on an emotional level, a spiritual level, people are just not happy. They're lost pretty much spiritually. So they need something to enhance their mood and put them in a good mood. So that's why they need to take drugs like coffee and cacao. Now, there might be certain cases where people are suffering from depression. And in these cases, I don't necessarily recommend coffee or cacao as the answer, but I do recommend these herbal stimulants as short-term cures to a long-term problem. You see, the real answer is to get rid of the thing or eliminate the thing that's causing the problem and not take some drug to mask the problems. However, for a short period of time, taking supplements and medicinal herbs might help you until you figure out what the problem might be. So in some extreme cases of depression, small amounts of cacao or coffee might be okay until you could figure out the final answer. And herbal teas as well. And herbal teas would be better than both of those. The cacao and the coffee, herbal teas would be more higher at the top of my list. But it is such a strong thing, and you know, there might be other cases where for some reason if somebody needed to stay up longer or they weren't able to get the certain amount of sleep they needed to get, and they had to, for some reason, drive somewhere. Now, it's never healthy to not get the rest that you need and the sleep you need, and that's pretty much always the answer, is to get more sleep and rest. But for some reason, if there's a particular situation going on in your life where you're not able to, and I don't recommend using this as a drug like a teenager staying up all night studying his test, so he needs to take some stimulant anything from some uppers to some caffeine in coffee or to cacao. I don't recommend using it that way. But if there's a serious case where somebody needs to be awake and they weren't able to get the expected sleep that they needed, in a short situation like that, possibly. But again, that's going to happen maybe once or twice in a lifetime, not every day. But the bottom line is, folks, I don't agree with it every single day. I don't think cacao is a wise food every day. And I know people take it and feel good, and that's why I felt it was important to do a featured video on it this week. Each week at the Real Life Health Show, we do a video over a whole hour, and this week it was an hour and a half on cacao and talk about it. And that's at the Real Life Health Show. And if you sign up as a free subscriber, you can get more of that interview. But if you subscribe as a member, for 1 month it's only $5.95. You can get the whole hour and a half interview. But I want to answer some of the comments that I've had about cacao on my previous videos. One of them was not a comment, but I read a book that was from the 1950s. And the book was called Live Foods, Nature's Perfect System of Human Nutrition by George and Doris Fortman. And on page 36 and 37 of that book, this will remember, in the 1950s it says, carob has a fair amount of vitamins and minerals, but its chief virtue is as a chocolate substitute. Now, carob is a pod that a lot of people use and have used for hundreds of years. And cacao is another thing that's been used for a long time, but in a different way. It's been used more as a stimulant and a mood enhancer, where carob has always been used as a food. And here this book is saying carob is wonderful and not to use chocolate. And this book goes on to say, from the 1950s, it says, chocolate, while rich in calcium, also contains considerable amounts of caffeine, theobromine, oleic acid, stimulants to the body that the body can do without. The oleic acid not only renders the calcium unavailable to the body, but also robs the body of its stored calcium. And many doctors feel chocolate is responsible for a large measure of the adolescent problems of acne and forbid it to their patient. And then it goes on to say, like sesame, tahini, carob has a delicious flavor without the harmful qualities of chocolate. While highly recommended as a substitute that all your family will enjoy, carob can be purchased in a health food store, especially food store. Now, we have carob on our website, and in our featured video this week, we actually had one of our guests, John Kohler, compare carob to cacao, and he talks about the difference of both of them. But yes, if you want that chocolate flavor, you know, use carob pods, everyone, or use carob powder. And I guarantee if you take a cacao bean versus a carob pod, you will prefer the taste of the carob pod. And if you mix any sweeteners with anything, it tastes amazing. So if you mix these sweeteners with whether cacao beans or carob pods, you're going to get a delicious flavor and a different taste. And that's really what we need to know. And this was from 1950. And it was known then, and it's known today, that it's just not a superfood, certainly not a superfood, and it's just not really healthy for the body. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there that love it or been told it's loved, and I don't want to get into why does this person say it's so great or that person say it's so great. I've never been one to be pointing at names, and I've never, as long as I've been talking against cacao, I've never once mentioned a person's name in a negative way, because I'm not about personal attacks on people. I'm about health, and it's just not healthy. So I just want to give people the facts, and it's not healthy as a superfood. And here are what some people have to say, some leaders in the raw food movement about this. Brian Clement says, you know, that, and Brian Clement is the owner and director of Hippocrates Health Institute, which is a raw food health clinic that's been in existence for over 50 years. He says, I addressed a large crowd recently at a raw food gathering on the west coast of the United States. It was quite a resemblance of the rock festivals from the 60s that I either played or attended. Of course, in the yonder years, the drug of choice was marijuana. In these new gatherings, it has seemingly become a massive amount of fruit and its fruit juices and sugar extracts, all of which are mixed with raw chocolate. Somehow, it is clear to me that there may be a compassionate leniency placed on the utilization of food as it's mind-altering. Yet, I have always believed food as medicine to be essential, have an essential purpose. but in no way does he recommend raw cacao as a daily superfood or even as a herbal supplement. He just doesn't recommend it, and he probably has more experience than anyone in the raw food movement. But we also have another person, George Malcolmus. George Malcolmus is the owner and CEO of Hallelujah Acres, which probably reaches more people with the raw food diet than any other organization in the world, over 1 million people. And he says, I haven't previously commented on the cacao issue. I highly discourage the consuming of cacao. I have stood strongly against all forms of chocolate for over 30 years now, and though it is currently being promoted by some raw foodists, I have not changed my opposition and still believe it is a toxic substance. And you know, everyone, I get emails from a lot of you saying, well, what's so toxic about it? What's so bad about it? And give me some proof, give me some facts. Well, on the video we did, the featured video this week, I gave you the proof and I give you the facts about chocolate. But I want to get into some more of the comments that I've gotten. I've gotten this comment from a lady named Lisa, and I get emails all the time like this. This is why I'm so strongly against it. But this was from Lisa, and Lisa says, I have been on raw food only now for about 55 days, and my husband is about 50% raw at this point, but supportive. About day 40, we made some cacao ice cream at about 7 p.m. and could not sleep until after 2 a.m. My first thought was that, how can this be healthy? And they're glad that I'm talking out about the truth about cacao. And then I get this one from somebody in California that says they ate a bunch of cacao last night because they kept hearing about such great things from raw foodists about it. I felt like I was on some serious drug last night and I did not feel well at all. I woke up at 6 a.m. with an awful headache and threw up, and I felt so sick. I know I don't feel this way when I eat a bunch of fruit and vegetables, even nuts. I really hope I am okay and totally agree with your article that cacao is not a superfood. I can go on and on, people, about the negative emails I get about cacao. And basically, it needs to come with a warning. I mean, I have pages and pages here of the negative effects I get from cacao. But I also get some emails on the opposite side of it. And I could tell you the video I just made, the featured video that's over an hour, is a balanced video. It's not a video of just me and people talking against cacao. I have people on there promoting it and talking for it. As a matter of fact, I even addressed the issue of the raw versus cooked cacao. I have a fellow there who came out a couple of years ago and said that, or it was just this past year, that said all the cacao in the market is not truly raw, but now they have the first truly raw cacao. So I have an interview with him on his featured video as well. Somebody asked me here, they said, Paul, what's so bad about cacao? I've been eating it for a long time and have had no side effects or nothing bad with it. Well, everybody, I've pleaded my case, I think, well enough. If you have any comments or questions, leave them below the video. This week we'll get into some more information on cacao, and we'll get into some videos. And I know lately I've been putting some videos on that have been shorter here on YouTube, but I think I'm going to be putting longer videos on YouTube because I enjoy getting this information out. And even though these videos are for free, I still have these featured videos for those of you that want to go to the Raw Life Health Show and see more of it. And you can even go there for free as a subscriber and just type in your email and get a longer clip of these videos. Alright, everybody, this week I have some podcasts that will be coming out. I have a new podcast on my website, on paulnison.com. You can click to the link from there, or you can go to podomatic.com and just type my name there, and you can see my new podcast. I have two. I have the Raw Life podcast, and I also have the Health and Torah podcast. You can go see both of them there or on the respective websites. And I also have another video show for anyone that's interested about what the Bible has to say about health and other Bible issues. And if you go to torahlife.tv, that's TORAHLIFE.TV, you can see those videos. Until then, everybody, have a great day, and put those comments and questions below the video about cacao. Have a great day and a great raw life.
This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life. Nature's wealth, good for your health. This is the Raw Life Health Show. Raw Life, brighten up your life.